Rudy Poo Candy ass.
Well, I'm afraid I got my next candy ass. And I gotta tell you, this one hurts. Stephen A. Smith, ESPN NBA basketball analyst, all around funny guy, one of the funniest guys you'll ever see on sports anywhere. But now, he has destroyed his reputation with an interview with Fox News. Not for the fact that he was on Fox News, make no mistake about that, but what he said on Fox News. He claimed that African Americans should understand, let me put it that way, what Donald Trump is going through because we go through the same thing as well. The persecution. This is what he said, and feel free to puke because I already did.
But I got to tell you something. As much as people may have been abhorred by Donald Trump's statement weeks ago, talking about how black folks, he's hearing that black folks find him relatable because what he's going through is similar to what black Americans have gone through, he wasn't lying. He was telling the truth. When you see the law enforcement, the court system, and everything else being exercised against him, it is something that black folks throughout this nation can relate to with some of our historic, iconic figures. We've seen that happen throughout society. So no matter what race, what ethnicity you may emanate from, we relate to you when you're suffering like that because we know we have. And that's what he articulated.
We should understand what Donald Trump is going through because we're going through the same things. Stephen, no, we're not. Not even close to what Donald Trump has done or said. Donald Trump is on trial. At the time I'm making this video, let me put it this way. Donald Trump is on trial, about to stand trial, for paying hush money to a porn star. Now, mind you, that's probably all in politics, but the way he did is what's being is what's under scrutiny. The possibility that he broke campaign finance laws. He's not being persecuted by it. He is being indicted for it. He was investigated, and a jury of his peers found that the indictments should stick, warranting a trial. That is nothing compared to the persecution, the beatings, the humiliation, and sometimes the murder of African American citizens in this country. Not too recently, the Mississippi police officers, calling themselves the Goon Squad, were not too recently convicted of torturing nearly to death 2 unarmed African Americans. Donald Trump has never been through anything like that. Unless you want to say that he's being prosecuted for taking classified documents and keeping them in unsecured areas. But I hardly believe that even measures up to that point. Because Donald Trump has never been beaten before in his life by police officers that we know of. And if he's ever been beaten, it's because he was trying to act like a bully and his victims fought back at him. I doubt that, but anyway. Stephen A. Smith says that we should understand and sympathize Trump because he's going through the same things we're going through. Does that mean that he went through the same thing that George Floyd went through? A police officer's knee to the neck for over 11 minutes till he died. The answer is no, he hasn't. So why should I sympathize with him now? Because he's about to be, hopefully soon, going to trial for for stealing documents and placing them in unsecure locations. The only thing that's saving his ass right now from that trial is a corrupt judge in Florida. Judge Eileen Cannon, I'm talking to you. So I should sympathize with what Trump is going through right now, because he understands what it's like to be hunted down by three racist pigs, called everything in the name, every single racial name equivocated to black people, and then murdered for it. I'm talking about the Ahmaud Arbery case, which those three racist pukes are going to jail for the rest of their lives. Donald Trump understands that, because he's being hopefully soon to be prosecuted for trying to steal an election in Georgia by calling the Secretary of State and asking him to find 11,000 votes that will swing the election back to him. Really? He understands what we go through. He understands. Stephen A. Smith expects us to believe, he expects us to understand that Donald Trump knows what we go through, because he's hopefully being prosecuted soon for pushing a terrorist attack on the United States Capitol, because he hopefully is prosecuted for that crime, trying to get his supporters to overturn the election in which he lost. He understands that. He claims he wants us to. Stephen A. Smith wants us to understand that Donald Trump thinks he knows what we're going through as African Americans, when 5 innocent people are put in prison for a crime they didn't commit, and a person puts up a full-page article on these 5 people calling for their deaths, calling for the death penalty for a crime they didn't commit. And after DNA evidence exonerates them, he doubles down on it decades later. And of course, in case none of you understand what I'm talking about in this particular case, I'm talking about the Central Park 5. And the article I'm talking about is the article that was written by Donald Trump himself. Stephen A. Smith, whatever respect I had for you as a newscaster, as an analyst, as a sports analyst, as a man, as a black man, is gone. Completely and totally gone. Maybe you're doing this because you're trying to get in good with Donald Trump and the administration. Maybe you're trying to you're doing this just because you were on Fox News. In either case, I don't care. You sold your soul to Donald Trump. Donald Trump. The worst excuse of all to sell your soul. The worst person to sell your soul to. But I cannot for the life of me understand why. Why would you do this? Why would you sell your soul to him? To him, of all people. Donald Trump has no idea what African Americans go through day in and day out in this country. The police officers the corrupt police officers, let me make that very clear. The corrupt and criminal police officers who give the rest of law enforcement, the good cops out there, a bad name for their actions when they cross the line in cases that I've mentioned here. The racism that we have to go through day in and day out because you gave a green light to the racism in this country. a subject that should have been dead and buried. But thanks to people like you, Trump, you gave them a megaphone, a bullhorn, and they are using it for everything that it's worth. Thanks to you. So Donald Trump has no clue what we go through. And for you to say that, Stephen A., and you're not the only person who has ever said something like this. You got this chicken hawk, Mark Barnes, who's nothing more than a fake preacher, a fake Christian. You got that clown Candace Owens, who hates people to a T. Why would you do this to yourself? Smith? Why? For Trump? You're gonna wreck your standing as a man, as a black man, for Donald Trump? He's not worth it. He has never been worth it. As far as I'm concerned, you destroyed yourself for Donald Trump. If you're on ESPN, I'm going to turn the channel. You destroyed yourself. You used to be one of the few good good African American people that we could look to when it comes to sports. Hell, when it looks to when it comes to this country. You spoke out against the Texas law that will make law enforcement easier to harass people of color because they may be suspected immigrants. You spoke out against that, and I applaud you for that. I made a video about that because of you. But you flushed all of that down the toilet when you decided to try to create a false equivalency between Donald Trump and African Americans in this country. Donald Trump is a stone cold racist, and he has shown us that day in and day out for his entire life. It got amplified, yes, back in the 80s and 90s, mind you, when he took out that ad. It got amplified, especially when he became president, when he did nothing to help the people in Puerto Rico after that hurricane, when the Unite the Right rally went down, and Heather Heyer was murdered by one of his supporters. He tried to create a false equivalency between the neo-Nazis and Ku Klux Klan that marched on the campus of the University of Virginia screaming, "Jews will not replace us." He tried to equate them with the people who protested against those vermin. This guy has went out on Truth Social and on live television calling immigrants, regardless if they're illegal or not, vermin, and poisoning the blood of our country right out of the Hitler playbook. And you are actually going to try and create a false equivalency between African Americans whose lives every day we have to watch our backs because of people like Donald Trump and the people he's influenced. You tried to create a false equivalency between him and African Americans in this country. As I said earlier, whatever respect I had for you, Stephen A. Smith, is gone. You destroyed yourself. You are a liar. You are a coward. You sold yourself and your soul to Donald Trump. And in my estimation, that makes you nothing more than
a Rudy Poo Candy ass.
CTP, know the truth. God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right.
Stay off the weed.